Congratulations on Coach of the Month. What did you think of when you heard that? I mean, 2 in the person and stuff. What does that kind of mean to you?
It means the team did well. I mean, I think that's the ultimate. How'd your team do? What was your record this month? So, guys on the court had a lot more to do with that. And, I'm glad we had a good month from a playing standpoint, and hopefully we can build on it.
Brad, is tonight the battle for the true Coach of the Month?
No. I told one of their assistants when he walked out, he's laughing about that. You know, if it's between the coaches, the Celtics are in trouble. So hopefully the players can pick me up.
It seems like Portland is kind of almost in a situation where you guys were last year, that they lost kind of their main star. A lot of people kind of have an idea of where they might be going, and they've surprised people. What is it like to kind of work against maybe public opinion?
Well, I just think it's not that big of a surprise that, they've already got a guy in Lillard that is very accomplished at a young age in this league, a guy that McCollum that, didn't average a ton, but sure put a lot of fear into people last year when he played, and so it's not a shock what he's doing. And then what they've surrounded him with are guys that are really athletic and all have a chip on their shoulder, and it kind of sounds like a familiar tale to some of the things that we're dealing with here. I mean, I think our guys work really hard. They're young. They're hungry to improve, and for whatever reason, some of them have been other places where it didn't work quite as well or fit quite as well. And you see the same thing in Portland, and all those guys are playing at their best level, and that's what has to happen when teams are going to maximize themselves. And Coach Stotts and his staff have done a great job.
The Celtics have a very good backcourt, but how much of a challenge is it to match up against Portland's backcourt?
Yeah, I mean, they're really good. They do a great job of spacing the floor for the other players. They do a great job in pick and roll. I think Portland is one of the best teams in the league at combining what I would consider to be traditional motion cuts with pick and rolls, and put you in a bind constantly with their movement. And it opens up things for those guards, and you can't guard them with one guy or two guys the whole game. I just think you have to, throw a bunch of different bodies at them, throw a bunch of different looks at them, and hope something sticks at some point. Try to make it as difficult as possible, because they're gonna make plays. Both those guys are doing what the league is really showing on a pretty consistent basis, is they're spreading the floor at such a rate that you have to be urgent 30 feet in.
How does Lillard open the floor with that in mind for other guys that are scoring up?
Yeah, he's got 30-foot range. It's not too dissimilar to the talk about KYRIE when you're talking about when he dribbles down in transition or he dribbles off a pick and roll. You better have help, and it better be up, or else you're in trouble, because he gets fouled off of those pick and rolls at a great rate. He makes really tough one-dribble pull-ups off those, and if you're late, you're really rolling the dice on 3 points going against you, and that threat opens up things for everybody else, and it just opens up more space to play.
What if McCollum different then?
McCollum has always been a guy that could really put the ball in the basket, and one of the things that I'm most impressed with is his transition from wing to a point. Maybe he was always able to do it at that rate, but from what I've seen, like when Lillard goes out, usually at the start of the second and fourth quarters, McCollum does a great job of not only picking his spots, but making plays for himself and others. He's a good player, and I don't know, the bottom line is they both pose a huge threat. But they have a lot of similarities and a few subtle differences.
Brett, what have you thought about how you guys have adjusted to playing without Kelly?
Yeah, I think we've been okay. And I think anytime you lose a guy, there might be a little, sometimes it early on you can kind of mask it, and then you've really got to figure out how you're going to mask it moving forward the longer it extends. And I think that over the last 2 games we were a little bit better than the first 4, and so hopefully we continue to just figure it out on the fly. The thing that Kelly gives you the option of doing is playing with 5 shooters, and it's more difficult. We can't do that, or we're not going to do that with as much range, no matter what our lineup may be, without him.
Do you know if any injuries or weeks?
Everybody's good. Everybody's good to go, except for Kelly and James. James is still in the same boat.
Any update on Kelly at all? It's been 4 weeks now.
So the last that I have heard is we'll be revisiting that on Monday, with a chance that he'll up his activity Monday, whatever that means.
Brad, Marcus Thornton's back in the United States. Have you gotten any sort of report on his time in Australia or anything like that?
Yeah, he came over to the game the other night, sat in my office for a while, and we talked. And it was a great learning experience for him. It was his first opportunity to compete as a professional. They didn't have the year that he wanted to have or they wanted to have, but the good part about playing in Australia, it gives him a chance now to pick up and join our D-League team. So it's a great opportunity for him, and it's a great opportunity, from an extended minute standpoint for him, and then also for us, for him to be in our system up in Maine.
Do you expect him to come down and practice with you guys at all? Or?
We can't do any of that without calling somebody up or doing a contract, and we haven't had any discussions about the extra roster spot.
Brad, the owner of the Clippers recently did a trampoline dunk of his own in front of a live audience. Do you feel pressure to respond one-up? Not at all?
No. As I said yesterday, hopefully I'm working for a while during those live audiences, and I don't have time to go out there during the timeout and dunk.
Did you happen to see it?
I did see it. It's pretty impressive. It's hard to do. It's not as easy as it looks.
Brent, back to Marcus real quick. He would have to be under contract to assign him to the D-League. Is that right? Or how would that work?
Marcus Thornton, I don't know exactly how that works.
Okay.
That's not. Unfortunately, that's out of my arena. Yeah.
Did you watch any film of him down there at all? Did you see?
Yeah, some.
Anything that stood out to you?
I just think he's a guy like many of our other young players that are up there or in our team that have some real strengths and some things that they really need to work on to be ready to play at this level. But he's got some ultimate burst with the ball. He's got the ability to score the ball off pick and rolls and off screening actions, as we discussed this summer. And it's just a matter of finding more rhythm doing that at the professional level.